Om Sri Chinmaya Sadguruvai Namaha. Hari Om students. Children, yesterday we discussed about sectors of Indian economy. What are the major economic sectors that we have in our country? Part 1 explained yesterday. Today I am going to discuss with you some more information regarding the economic sectors. What are the differences between economic sector and non-economic sectors, and how to deal with our economic activities, and what is meant by Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. These are all the things now today I am going to discuss with you. Children, open your textbook and read the textbook carefully. Economics is nothing but study of economy, sectors of Indian economy. So study of money, revenue related activities, money generation activities we called as economics. Understood? So that we are studying about each and every economic sector, so that we are going to discuss with about sectors of Indian economy. How primary, secondary and tertiary sectors in India dependent on each other, we discussed in yesterday's class. Now today I am going to discuss with you about how these opportunities day to day increasing, which sector has more impact on the Indian economy. This is a tertiary sector, secondary sector and primary sector in 1970s and 71, and here 2010 to 11. See here, it is clear that which part has more impact on the revenue generation. See, green in color small, and whereas up to 1 lakh crore rupees GDP we are getting only from agriculture sector, means primary sector, including all primary activities like agriculture, fishery, mining and all. And coming to the industrial sector, secondary sector, from 1 lakh to nearly 2 lakh 25, means 1 lakh 25,000. It is somewhat better than agriculture sector. If you observe here 1.25 means 1 lakh 25,000, sorry, 12 lakh, nearly up to how many? 50 lakhs. Which part gives more revenue to the nation? Here up to 10 lakhs, here up to 22.5, and up here up to 50 crore rupees revenue is generated only by a single sector, is nothing but tertiary sector. Over a long time, more than 100 years, and especially because new methods of manufacturing were introduced, factories came up and started expanding. Those people who had earlier worked on farms now began to work in factories in large number. People began to use many more goods that were produced in factories at cheap rate. The secondary sector now gradually became the most important in total production and employment. Hence, over time, a shift had taken place. This means that the importance of this sector had changed. In the past 100 years, there has been a further shift from secondary to tertiary sector in developed countries. The service sector has become the most important in terms of total production. Most of the working people are also employed in the service sector now. This is the general pattern observed in developed countries. So most of the production we are getting from industries. So now many companies, they are willing to establish their companies in our nation, so that they invested a lot of money in our country. So automatically when the multinational companies established any place, automatically it provide the chances for more employment facilities. So that even our government also asking to establish many multinational projects in our country. That is the main reason, children. So there is no doubt at all here, maximum GDP we are getting from the tertiary sector into from 2010 to 11 financial year. So here let's work this out. Is there, children? Based on the graph, write these question and answers in your classwork only. Which was the largest producing sector in 70-71? Based on the graph, you try to write your own answers. Where are the most of the people employed? Here graph 2 and here graph 3. Graph 2 presents percentage share of three sectors in GDP. Now you can directly see the changing importance of the sectors over the 40 years. A remarkable fact about India is that while there has been a change in the share of the three sectors in GDP, a similar shift has not taken place in employment. So now almost all this employment is distributed into shifts, shift A, shift B, shift C. So the only working hours in each shift has we have only 8 hours, so that when the production needs more, when the production growing on, automatically the working shift also takes place in employment. See here, 1970-71, nearly 45% GDP, 45% GDP we are getting only from green color means primary sector, and 45 to 65, 20% GDP only from secondary sector. Now coming to the tertiary sector, 65 to 100 means 35% from the tertiary sector. Primary giving more GDP in which year? 1970, up to 45%, here 20% and here 35%. 45, 20, 65 plus 35, 100% here completed. So all the three sectors shared their shares. And here coming to 2010 and 11 GDP present, what we are getting? Only 18% here. Nowadays we are getting only 18% GDP from primary sector. And coming to the secondary sector, from 18 to nearly 42, means nearly 24% here. And see here, 42 to 100 means 58% of the GDP. How much? 58% of the GDP present we are getting only from tertiary sector. So that without any doubt, now more employment opportunities also increased in tertiary sector. And look at the graph 3 here, children. In your textbook also is available these graphs. Open the textbook and follow the graphs carefully. Need not to look at only your screen or monitor. Open your textbook, all content from your textbook only. Graph 3 shows the share of employment in the three sectors in 1970 and 71 and in the year 2009 and 10. The primary sector continues to be the largest employer even now. See here. Here we discussed about the GDP. Here we are discussing about the employment, number of workers, how many people engaged. See here. In 1970, up to 72% of the Indians depends on agriculture. They are getting more employment opportunities in agriculture. Okay, now in 2009 and 10 also, nearly 55% of the people, 55% of the people I am saying here, not GDP, 55% of the people still engaged their works in primary sector. Primary is not only agriculture, it includes in extraction of minerals, poultry, fishing, aqua, all. Dairies, and means most of the people they engage their work in any of these, either directly or indirectly. They are producing the goods or they are transporting the goods, or but whatever, most of the workers they engaged in primary sector only. Then coming to secondary sector, from 55 to 75, 20% of the people engaged in secondary sector activities. Whereas from 75 to 100, 25% of the people engaged in tertiary sector, but most of the GDP we are getting only from tertiary sector without any doubt. A remarkable fact about India is that while there has been a change in the share of the three sectors in GDP, a similar shift has not taken place in employment. Graph 3 shows the share of employment in the three sectors in 1970 and 71 and 2009 and 10. The primary sector continues to be the largest employer even now. There is no doubt that we are getting more GDP from tertiary sector, but more employment opportunities is given by only primary sector. See the picture here. In 1973, primary sector 75%, here 60%. In 2000, here secondary sector 10%, now it is 18%. And in tertiary sector 15%, and in 2000 it is 22%. Employment opportunities giving still today more by only agriculture sector. In our regular life, day to day, the importance of the tertiary sector going to be increased, rising importance. In the year 2003, the tertiary sector emerged as the largest producing sector in India, replacing the primary sector. Means in 2020 also, the tertiary sector emerged as the largest producing sector in India, service sector. What are the main reasons behind that? First one, in any country, several services such as hospital is common for all, education is common for all, and post office etc. are considered as basic service or the responsibility of the government. So that automatically here government people providing more and more services to the people, automatically the employment opportunities also increased in that area. The development of agriculture and industry leads to the development of the services such as transport, trade, and storage. So, because of the development of the agriculture, it gives more yield to us. When more yield is there to goods and for trading activities and for storage purpose, we have to give more employment opportunities to the many of the people. Next reason is that as income levels rise, certain sections of people start demanding many more services like eating out. So commonly monthly once or monthly twice or whenever we needed. Most of the people nowadays like to eat outside of the home, different taste. So according to that, what happened, many restaurants established, many roadside dhabas established, and many food centers available now, so that those all people are getting employment opportunities because of our demands. Tourism, now people are thinking to visit different places of the country and the world. So automatically surroundings, many shops are there, traveling agencies, transport, and hotels and restaurants, lodging, everything they got there some employment opportunities. And shopping malls are increased, private hospitals increased, private schools increased, and professional trainings etc are increased, so that whenever the demands of the people increased, automatically it causes to more and more employment opportunities. So far we are discussing about employment opportunities, but in one word, employment opportunities are there, but it is not up to the needs of the humans or up to the needs of the population growth. Yes or no? Definitely. Still many of people, they are not getting any jobs. Lack of jobs, lack of employment opportunities causes to again unemployment in the nation. So when the unemployment uh, is more in the nation, automatically it causes to debt. So automatically the situations in the country goes under the poor. Many families in our country are poor or below average. Only 80% of Indians are poor and below poverty, and average middle class people. Only 20% of Indians are some a stage what we call as a rich people, settled people in the society. What are the main reasons for this unemployment? Now I am going to discuss with you. Underemployment. What is meant by underemployment? In this type of underemployment, one does not have a job that is full time or that reflects his or her training and financial needs. It may be most affected by the number of youthful workers in the labor force who tend to experience more underemployment as they change jobs and move in and out of the labor force, and public policies that may discourage employment or the creation of jobs such as high minimum wages, high unemployment benefits, and low opportunity cost associated with lying of works. A situation in which a worker is employed but not in the desired capacity, whether in the terms of compensation, working hours, or the level or the skill and experience of the worker. So this is comes under underemployment. In our current economy, underemployment is prevalent because many educated and skilled people are not employed in a capacity that they deserve. So that many of the people not satisfied with the present employment opportunities, but they are doing because lack of the job opportunity, more employment opportunities for them. For better understanding here, as per in your textbook, they given one small example. Look at the textbook. For instance, take the case of small farmer Lakshmi owning about 2 hectares of unirrigated land, dependent only on rain and growing crops like jowar and arar. So here, she has only 2 hectares of land, but not irrigated properly and regularly because she's purely depends upon the rainfall, and there is no uh, pump sets or motor sets to her, so that to cultivate high yield variety seeds or the paddy, she need more water facilities, so that she choose the crops like jowar and or her pulses here due to the less water facilities in her field. All 5 members of her family work in the plot throughout the year. So family contains 5 members. All 5 members are working in the same family. There is no other job to other family members. Then what happened? A small plot of land occupied by 5 people. You will see that everyone is working. None remains idle, but in actual fact, their labor effort gets divided. Each one is doing some work, but no one is fully employed. This is the situation of underemployment. It seems to be for looking they are employed, but all 5 members are working in their own land. But what is the production? Production is same. If the 5 members are working in the same plot or 10 members working in the same plot, whatever the yield getting from the crop is same. There is no change at all. But for outside, all people are working, but the limited profit only here, the limited yield only here. Understood? This is what we call as a underemployment. All are looking for employment, but no one is getting proper work to do. This kind of underemployment is hidden in contrast to someone who does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. Hence, it is called disguised unemployment. So all are looking like employers only, but not getting proper employment opportunity. So this type of employment we called as disguised unemployment. Understood? Disguised unemployment or underemployment. Now supposing a landlord Sukram, second story, comes and hires 1 or 2 more members of the family to work on his land. Lakshmi's family is now able to earn some extra income through the wages. Since you do not need 5 people to look after the small plot, 2 people moving out does not affect the production in their farm. In the above example, 2 people may move to work in a factory. Once again, the earnings of the family would increase and they would also continue to produce as much from their land. There are lakhs of farmers like Lakshmi in India. For example, a family contains 5 members here. If the 5 members are working in the same family, the final amount from the field, it is 10K, for example, per month. How many members are working here? 5 members are working in the same family, but they are getting only 10,000 after the yield. And if the 2 members are engaged in the same field, they are getting 10,000 only, because the plot is same, the inputs are same, but only the work sharing of the members is less, so that when the workers are reduced here, then there is no change in income is same. If the remaining 10 members are going to factory for the work purpose, they will get some more additional income, 10,000. And if the one person here, Lakshmi, she went to the owner's land as an agricultural laborer, again she will get one more 5,000. What is the income of the family children here? 25,000. What is the income of the family per month? 25,000 here. But whereas here, if you observe, almost all the family members are involved in the same work, but they are getting only 10,000. If the work is divided between the family members of the 5 members here, if they depend on other works, this is direct employment. Direct employment, they are getting more wages here. 10 from the land, 10 from the factory, 10 from owner as agriculture labor. Total earnings of the family is 25,000. But here 5 members involved in the same field, but they are getting only 10,000. This type of unemployment we called as disguised unemployment or underemployment. Now this is direct employment. All people are getting earning, so that they earn more money. This means that even if we remove a lot of people from agriculture sector and provide them with proper work elsewhere, agriculture production will not suffer. The incomes of the family who take up other work would increase the total family income like this 25,000. This underemployment can also happen in other sectors. For example, there are thousands of casual workers in the service sector in urban areas who search for daily employment. They are employed as painter, plumber, repair person and other doing odd jobs, but many of them don't find work every day. Similarly, we see other people of the service sector on the street pushing a cart or selling something where they may spend the whole day but earn very little. They are doing this work because they do not have proper employment opportunities. Let's work this out from your textbook. Try to answer these questions by observing the video. Here, share of primary sector in GDP and employment opportunities based on the chart graph what I explained to you before. Based on that graph, you have to fill these tables here. So what are the changes that you observe in the primary sector over a span of 40 years? Here you have to choose the correct answer. Try to answer these all. If not, ask me how to complete this activity. How to create more employment. From the above discussions, we can see that there continues to be considerable underemployment in agriculture. So most of the underemployment or decreased unemployment happens in agriculture fields most probably. Rest of all, we have direct employment. So there are also people who are not employed at all. So those in one word we call as unemployment only. In what ways can one increase employment for people? Let us look at some of them. First one, take the case of Lakshmi with her 2 hectares of land, unirrigated land. The government can spend some more money or banks can provide a loan. So then easily she can construct a well for her family to irrigate the land. So Lakshmi will then able to irrigate her land and take a second crop, wheat, during the Rabi season. So let us suppose that 1 hectare of wheat can provide employment to 2 people for 50 days, including sowing, watering, fertilizers. Then automatically 3 people will earn more money from the same plot of land. So government have to take the responsibility to provide loans or the subsidiary seeds to the people, raw materials to the people in the form of loans. Due to that activity, 2 more members of the family can be employed in her own field. Now suppose a new dam is constructed and canals are dug to irrigate many such farms. This could lead to a lot of employment generation within the agriculture sector itself, reducing the problem of underemployment. Now, suppose Lakshmi and other farmers produce much more than before. They would also need to sell some of this. For this, they may require transport to their products to nearby town. The government invests some money in transportation and storage of crops or makes better rural roads so that mini trucks reach everywhere several farmers like Lakshmi, so that there is no trouble of surplus grains in her home. So who now has access to water can continue to grow and sell the crops. This activity can provide productive employment or not just farmers but also others such as those in services like transportation or trade. Lakshmi's need is not confined to water alone. To cultivate the land, she also needs seeds, fertilizers, agriculture equipment, and pump set to draw the water. Being a poor farmer, Lakshmi unable to afford money to invest for all these things. So that it is the responsibility of our government to provide loans at the rate of reasonable interest rate. So most of the agriculture people, they don't have proper documentation, so that banks refuse to give the loans to them. So automatically they depends upon the money lenders or the landlords. They are collecting more money as in the form of the interest from the farmers. And one more another way by which we can tackle this problem is to identify, promote and locate industries and services in semi-rural areas like small towns where a large number of people may be employed here due to these activities. For instance, suppose many farmers decide to grow arhar or chickpea, that is pulse crops. Setting up a dal mill to produce and process these and sell in the cities is one such example. So based on that activity, a few people are getting employment opportunities. Otherwise, opening a cold storage could give an opportunity for farmers to store their products for, like potatoes and onions, which damaged very soon, and sell them when the price is good. So in villages near forest area, we can start honey collection centers where farmers can come and sell with honey. It is also possible to set up industries that process vegetable and agricultural products like potato, sweet potato, rice, sweet tomato, and etc. So that to provide cold storage godowns to the farmers, also giving better employment and better revenue to the small farmers. And here, if you do you know this one? In India, 46.9% of the population belongs to the age group of 5 to 29. Out of this, only 52% of the people are attending to educational institutions out of 46.9%. Among them, 52% are attending to the institutions. The rest are not. They may be at home, or many of them may be working as a child laborers. So because of this lack of educational facilities, many of the children are not getting proper employment, better employment opportunities. Here jaggery making. So if you observe here, 1 person, 2, 3, and those who are transporting the sugar cane to the jaggery mill, and these all people are getting employment opportunities. Here you observe these jaggery bits. Without attending those children, they are going to workers, what we call as a child labor. If all the children are going to school, they need proper building, and it recruits more teachers and other staff also. So a study conducted by the Planning Commission estimates that nearly 20 lakhs jobs can be created in the education sector alone. Only if all the children are going to proper education, nearly how many jobs? 20 lakh jobs all over the country. It have the better opportunities for employment, so that our government also getting different schemes to get 100% attendance in the education sector. Along with them, if we are to improve the health situation, we need many more doctors, nurses, health workers, etc. to work in rural areas. So these are some ways by which jobs would be created and would also be able to address the important aspects how to create, and due to the tourism, due to the craft industry, and services like IT, information technology. So many of the jobs, every year we can give additional employment to more than 35 lakhs people if our government planned properly. And now come, as a part of this, our government implemented a program that is nothing but National Rural Employment Guarantee Act now. Earlier it is called as MNREGA, Mahatma Gandhi. MGN, National or for Rural Employment Guarantee Act 5. According to this act, first term in phase 1, this program was implemented by central government, and that name with rate to work in 200 districts of India, then extended to additional 130 districts. Now all over the country, nearly 665 districts successfully our government running the program of NREGA 2005. And the remaining districts in rural were brought under the act with effect from 1st April 2008 onwards. First time it was implemented in the year 2005 September. And under this program, all those who are able to and are in need of work, guarantee of 100 days of employment in a year by the government. If the government fails in its duty to provide employment, it will give unemployment allowances to the people. The types of work that would in future help to increase the production from land will be given preference under the act. So that under this act, minimum of 100 days work employment will be provided by the government of India. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, it assures 100 days employment and also called as right to work. Understood? So 100 days employment in a year for each family within 5 kilometers of your residence. Within 15 days from application on local development project, they will provide work for you. If not, they will credit the salary, 100 days of salary in your account. How many days they will not, they are unable to provide the work, those many days they are giving the salary free of cost, free of work, and rest of they will provide the work for you minimum 100 days within a year. First time this act was proposed in 1991 by P.V. Narasimha Rao, the Prime Minister of India, in the year 1991, but it was finally accepted in the Parliament and commenced implementation in 625 districts of India. Based on this pilot experience, NREGA was scoped up to overall the districts of India from 1st April 2008 onwards. The statute is hailed by the government as the largest and most ambitious social security and public works program in the world. In its World Development Report (WDI) report in 2014, the World Bank termed it a stellar example of rural development. Means the main aim of this program is providing employment opportunities, especially for rural area people and as well as for urban area people. What is the wages, average wages here? According to from 2021, now they are giving 182 rupees to 202 rupees. Now the minimum wage is here 200 rupees per day. 100 days into 200. So 100 days of work they will provide. But so actually this 200 is very less. It is only 40-50% wages when we compare to the regular wages in the local agriculture areas. So they are nearly getting 350 to 400 rupees each person, but our government giving only 200 rupees for each person. How to get this work? That is the question. So in this, as a part of this, adult members of rural households submit their name, age and address with photo to the Gram Panchayati office. After enrollment, they will give you employment card here. The Gram Panchayati registers households after making inquiry and issues a job card. The job card contains the details of adult member enrolled and his her photo on the card. And registered person can submit an application for work in writing at least 14 days of the continuous work, either to Panchayat or to the program officer, so that whenever they have the work, they will call the within 15 days of the application, and definitely they will provide the work to the concerned applicant. Otherwise they will pay the money without work also here. Letter providing work will be sent to the applicant and also displayed at Panchayat office. Registration will be made for 5 years and may be renewed from time to time within 5 years. So every year they will provide 100 days of work. Here these people are showing job cards. This is what we call as job cards issued by the nearest Panchayati office. As I told, the scheme was introduced in 200 districts in first phase in the financial year 2006 to 7 and 130 districts during the financial year 2007 and 8. Now from April 2008 onwards, this NREGA program expanded all over the country, covering 34 along with states and union territories, including 614 districts. In that 6096 blocks tahsils are there. That covers nearly 2.65 lakh gram panchayatis. So under this 2.65 lakh gram panchayatis, all unemployment people, they enroll this and they will get the job cards and the government will allotted the work to them. So these schemes cover nearly 645 districts according to the 2013-14 calculations here. 7.78 lakh villages in the financial 2013-14 covered in this scheme. So all are getting better wages and minimum wages from the government. So what kind of works provided under this scheme? See here, water conservation and water harvesting, including counter trenches, counter bunds and gabion structures underground dikes and earthen dams, and drought proofing, including plantation and afforestation. Irrigation canals, provision of irrigation facility, renovation of traditional water bodies, land development programs, flood control and protection work, rural connectivity, garbage disposal, and different works allotted to them from the municipality or the Gram Panchayati. Let's work these out from your textbook. Why do you think NREGA 2005 is referred to as right to work? Imagine that you are the village head. In that capacity, suggest some activities that you think should be taken up under this act that would also increase the income of people. Discuss how would the employment increase if farmers were provided with irrigation and marketing facilities? In what ways can employment be increased in urban areas? These are all questions you have to write in your classwork only. Hello students, thank you very much, and I hope every one of you understood the concept of MNREGA program and what are the different schemes implemented by the government to reduce the poverty and to improve the employment opportunities in our country. Follow the textbook carefully, children. Read the textbook thoroughly and try to write all answers. If you have any doubt, ask me. I will clarify your doubts. Hari Om. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.